doesn't mean we'll let him sit in front of TV then. All right? Still, he has to be instilled with that type of information so that he can also become a soldier in this struggle. All right? I don't want him to grow up to aspire to be a ball player and all that type of thing. I want him to be a soldier.
Yes.
All right? And that's the bottom line. Anybody else have a point? Yes, ma'am.
I know that you send this chart home to the parents, but other than that, and you make them sign a form, other than that, how do you get the parents to carry over and to facilitate what you're doing in the classroom?
I organized a program called Operation SOS, stands for Saving Our Students, 2 or 3 years ago. It's a workshop series. And I encourage the other teachers to be a part of this. And what we did, you know how a PTO meeting, hardly any parents show up? Yeah. Well, that's how it is where I'm at anyway. About you're lucky if 10 show up. I knew that just sending out the literature wasn't going to work. We had put together these nice workshops. Each teacher would teach their subject, because then he started with departmentalized. They changed classes from 1st grade all the way up to 12. So each teacher would teach their subject, explain to the parents what it is that they could be doing to help the student with that subject. So I said, we got to come up with something different, but I refuse to offer a dinner. All right, I'm not going to bribe you with food so you can be a good parent to your child. All right, I refuse to go there. So what I said to the teachers, I said, look, if you're serious, here's what we'll do. Let's do like the corporations do. You know how the corporation will bombard you with advertisement until next, like a song, right? You hear that jingle, next thing you know, you're singing it, and you're not even thinking about it, but you know the key words. All right, so I said, let's bombard them with notices. 2 or 3 times a week. Let's plan a month in advance. Just keep on sending notices home, and let's call them once a week. All right. Now, you know, some teachers don't want to call because they're scared that the kids will have their phone number. With me, I give the kids my business card. Say, call me anytime you want. But see, some of the teachers don't want the kids to know their phone numbers. So, but we did that, and I went on and called the other teachers' kids too, because I teach them, but they're not my homeroom. So out of the 100 kids we had that year, we had about 70 parents that showed up, just in the 5th grade alone. All right, because we did that strategy. We bombarded them. So now we had them there. And then we were able to give them the information that they needed. Then we did a follow-up. We had the same numbers, all right? Then last year, I had run into all that friction. So we didn't have the same relationship. So I said, I'm gonna do my own workshop this year. So I did my own and just called all the parents myself, bombarded them with literature, and we had the numbers. All right, so that way they got to come out and hear what it is I had to say, and a lot of what you saw here and a few other things. And that's how we were able to do it. Now, I'm not going to say that it was an overwhelming success in terms of the final outcome. It's a struggle. We're talking about students that have a lot of social problems, all right? And we can't correct them all. But I think that we should be doing all we can to correct them, because a typical teacher will say, look, I am paid to teach. I'm not paid to be their social worker. I'm not paid to be their advisor. I say in the 90s, the role of the teacher has changed. You must be their friend. You must be their surrogate parent. Sometimes you might have to be their spiritual advisor. All right? Their guidance counselor. You've got to be everything to these students. Sometimes the students slip up and call me dad, which is fine. All right, because in the African tradition, you know, such as Baba, meaning father. So it's fine. It's no problem. I said, "Hey, I'm daddy. Don't worry about it." You know, so but I say all that to say that that program was my approach to doing what you had asked me. I had to bombard with the information and bring them to the school. But see, I'll also go to the home and bring the information there. We'll sit down and we'll strategize. You know, but you know, a lot of teachers won't do that because there's a lot of crime in the neighborhood. There's a lot of drug dealing in those lobbies because most of our students live in buildings, and a teacher won't take the risk. I understand that. However, I'll go back to my other point. If you have a problem with that community, talking about today's times, it's 1997 and things are getting worse, not getting better. So if you have a problem with the community and you can't deal with that, leave. That's all, just leave. And let's build some soldiers so they can come in and step into that place. I'm not afraid of the community. People say, you know, you got your tie on and you're going to get mugged. But see, when you have a presence in the community, they know you. You might not mess with me. Everybody knows who I am. All right? And they understand why I'm there. All right? So it's no big deal. You just can't be intimidated by your students and the community in which they live. You got to do what you got to do. Absolutely. You got to really put your life into this thing. And you receive blessings back. Blessings back.
In dealing with parents, have you ever come across a situation where they just don't want to know anything about what you're doing? They have their own agenda, and basically they're giving you a cold shoulder. And how would you handle it?
Not the cold shoulder. And the reason I don't get the cold shoulder is because you gotta learn people, and you gotta learn that you deal with different people differently. All right, the way you approach one person, that approach might not work with the next person. All right, so you gotta learn. You gotta really learn people. All right, this is why a lot of times a lot of white teachers can't identify and relate to the parent. They don't know. How you can relate to someone you don't even know? All right, so you got to really learn how to work with people, how to talk to people. All right, so I've never had a confrontation with a parent in all the years I've had teaching. I've never had a parent that didn't want to deal with me. But I do run across parents who are uninterested in playing a role in their education, but they won't reject what I'm saying. All right, but see, what they want to do is they want to push it all in my lap. All right, and say, well, you do it. All right, but they're open to listen. When I ring a bell, a lot of people think that a parent might say, oh, I don't want you in my house. When I ring a bell, it's come in. They're happy. I've never seen anything like this before, they said. Never seen a teacher come to my house, and it's 8, 9 o'clock at night. All right, cold night, 0 degrees outside. But they understand the commitment. So, and then you talk to the parent and explain to them what they can do and why they should do it, and you might see a little change. When you're talking about, I was saying to an audience not long ago, we have some expectations that are not necessarily realistic sometimes. Like boys, for example. How can you take a boy, right? You send him to public school. Usually in a public school, the teacher is white, a white woman. How could you take a boy, 60% of black youth right now live in a female-headed household, right? Okay, so therefore they're not, a large percentage of our boys are not seeing positive men in their lives on a regular basis. So now how are you going to take a boy, send him to public school with a white woman? He goes home to a woman. I'm not saying anything bad about women now, I'm just making a point.
We understand.
All right? Now he's going home to a woman. He's watching TV where women are degraded. His favorite rap star is saying everything negative he can think of about women. And now you expect him when he's 18, he's supposed to be this great man. That's absurd. Why should he? He wasn't taught to be one. We know that in Africa, men didn't become men automatically. You were taught. You were taken away from society and isolated from women and taught to be a man. Then once you earn the right to be a man, then you're back into society. So now in America, we see young men shooting and killing and degrading women, and we're surprised. Why should we be surprised? They're conditioned to do that. All right? So we have to now come up with ways where we can make a presence for them, so that we can teach them how to become men. All right? I mean, it's the thing. I was taught how to become a teacher. All right? Everything that we do, basically, somebody gave us some type of information. All right? Some of it is innate. All right? But a lot of it, we're informed. And once we're informed, then we can build upon it. But we've got to teach boys how to become men and girls how to become women. All right. So I don't have those expectations. If I see a kid that's living a certain way, and I can see the home life, I don't expect when he's 16 now he's gonna know how to be a man, straighten himself out. There's got to be some type of a guide. I had a guide. All right. We've all had guides. All right. And that's how it's got to be. That's right. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, sir. And thanks for being here. I'm thinking that in order to be a teacher, there has to be such a passion to teach the children.
Right.
I understand that the teachers need their income, which you said that it's really not that bad. I don't understand their striking, if they are really looking for the education of our children. The children miss out when they strike. I'm hearing about the strikes going on. Has there ever been a situation where there was the other teachers wanted to strike, and you were like, wait, what about children? And another thing, I think it's also good that we're talking about education outside the classroom, because regardless of what they're teaching in school, the base of our education still is at home.
That's right. That's right. We're working without a contract right here, but I don't think any strike is on the horizon. You know, they're going through negotiations, and I'm really confident that everything is going to work out. But if we were in a strike situation, it would really be a real dilemma for me, because I'm a teacher, but I don't look at myself as a union person. You know, I haven't attended a union meeting yet. You know, and a lot of people say that I'm making a mistake with that. I should really be abreast of what is going on with the union. But see, I'm not in this. I don't see this as a job. I see it as a mission. So I don't get caught up into that. So if we were to strike or something, I have to really think this through intelligently and make some type of decision. But we're not at that point, you know. So, but I'm just saying hypothetically, I would have to really think that through, because I'm there for the students. All right, it's not about this job. You know, I need the job. Obviously, I do have bills. All right, but I didn't go into education because I needed a job. I went into education because I saw that that was where my strength is. See, all of us, we have to always look within ourselves, because a lot of times we get kind of trapped. We don't, and we get caught up and don't know which way we want to go. You know, when you get to that point when it's like, what am I going to do with my life now? And I was at that point some years ago. And we have to look within ourselves and see what talents lie within us that we haven't utilized. And I knew that I was a talker and a communicator, and I knew that I liked children. And at some point it clicked with me that teaching was my bag. All right, so it really amazed a lot of people that after my 4th year of teaching, that they would name me East Orange and Essex County Teacher of the Year. But it didn't surprise me, because in my 2nd year, I thought I deserved it. Went to the principal and really came down on her for not winning it. All right, I said, how dare you not give me that award? And I was bold. All right, but when you have that kind of confidence about yourself and you know where you stand, then you'll do that. So I didn't win it that 2nd year. So then the 3rd year it didn't happen. So once again, and I knew I was deserving, so I went to her office. How did I not win this? And she said, well, you're not even tenured yet, because I was a new teacher. So, so my tenure year, I won it. I won school level Teacher of the Year, and then I was named District Teacher of the Year, and then I was named County Teacher of the Year. And I think that if I wasn't an African American, I probably could have qualified for the State Teacher of the Year, but that wasn't even the goal. So it didn't matter. The goal was just school. I just wanted to win it on the school level. So everything else that came was just a blessing. All right. So, but you just got to have that belief. So going back to your question, I don't know what I would do. I have to really think that through, because it's not about the union, it's about the students. That's the bottom line, our children. What was that second question? Just a couple of words, and it'll click to me.
Well, mainly, I think the parents really it's really their job to teach the children anyway.
Right, right. I mean, the parents are the first teachers, right? And we have to understand it. But again, if a parent, the analogy that I use with the boy becoming a man, same thing with a parent. Just because you have a baby doesn't mean now you got to be a parent. You're going to learn real quick. But it doesn't mean that now you have all the skills. Now you're equipped to be a parent. You got to be taught how to be a parent. You have a child at 16, you're still a baby. And we have a lot of young girls that are having babies now. So they need a support system to be shown how to be a good parent to these children. And some of my former students have babies now. All right, they're in high school. But the good thing about it is when I find out about it, you know, usually I hear it through the grapevine, and they say they always hope I never hear about it, even though I'm not their teacher anymore. Right. But because they know I'll come to their house, and I do. We talked about it, and student said to me the other day, little girl, she said, Mr. Kafele, I will not drop out of school. All right, I said, that's all I want to hear. All right, stay in school, and get your education, not only for you, but for that child. All right. Dr. Carter G. Woodson said it took him about, I think he said 35 years to recover from his Harvard education. So you want to stay, get your education. And they say the longer you're in school, the worse off you are. But theoretically speaking, you still want to get your education. So you want to get your education, but you just want to make sure that you will supplement it with the proper education.
Yes, very good.
All right, because we know that the school education, that system wasn't designed for us. I told you before, Amos Wilson said that these schools were not designed for black children to receive an education. Hakeem Baruti, he said, I think it was Black Men Single Out for Leading Dangerous, said we're the only people that sent our children to our enemy to be educated.
That's right, that's right, that's right.
Yes, and then Dr. John Henry Clark, he said that people in power are not going to be bored with power and say, here, take the power.
That's right.
All right? If you want power, you have to take power. You have to demand power. Nobody just hands to their power. Here, I'm tired of power. You take it now. I'll get it back later. It doesn't work that way. So if you want power, that's right. No struggle, no progress.
Power right. Can seize the power.
That's right. You got to take power. And I think power is in education. All right? Now, I tell students all the time, study the dictionary just like Malcolm did. I'm a student of the dictionary. My son knows that. I study the dictionary, expand my vocabulary. I tell the students, when you have a command of the English language, you can maneuver your way through anything. Talk circles around people. And see, and the beauty around that was, when I had the argument with the teacher, I went into my words, and the students remembered what I told them. So they said, Mr. Kafele, you was using them big words, and she didn't know what you were talking about. And see, I know that's bad. But on the other hand, it's good, because the students are picking up on it. All right? So that's how you do that.
Absolutely.
Any other questions? Yes, sir.
I'm sorry. Since parents are here tonight, can you give us a 7-step plan to implement if we're unhappy with the way the school is running? If unhappy with the teacher, unhappy with the principal, unhappy with the school, can you give us like a 7-step plan?
I'll tell you what I'll do. And I brought these books in. I forgot what brought them. But they're on page number 62, and these are $5 each, by the way. The parent-teacher-child partnership, I say that the parent, teacher, and child must be thought upon as a team. When I wrote this book in 1990, I wrote it in 90, published in 91. At the time, the Detroit Pistons were the team, not the Chicago Bulls. So when you read this, you'll see I talked about the fact that the Pistons won the championship 88-89. And at that time, they had Isaiah Thomas, if you remember these names, Dennis Rodman before he got crazy. He was crazy then, but not like he is now. And some other guys, right? But there was, outside of Isaiah, there was really no one that really stood out on that team. They were a well-oiled machine at that time. They were bullies, but yet they worked together as a team. See, with the Bulls, when Jordan came on the scene, he was scoring all the points, and everybody stood around and watched. It's still that way, but it's a little better now. You have the team playing. So, but with Detroit Pistons back then, everybody was contributing. That was a very cohesive unit. So the analogy that I drew at that time was, we should think of ourselves as this team, working as a team, parent, teacher, and child, and administrator, a team with the focus being on the educational growth and achievement of the child. All right? Look at the Michael Jordan and the Bulls when he first came on the scene. We can't be that kind of team where you got one man doing everything and everybody standing around watching and enjoying what he's doing. All right? When the Bulls understood that that was happening, then they began to gel as a team, and they won those 3 championships before he had retired the first time. All right? So that's how we have to look at ourselves, as a team. So going to your question, I say to the parent, the first day of school, just like the Million Man March coalitions have been doing this year, go to your school and meet that teacher immediately. All right? Find out what that teacher's past successes and failures are. All right? Work. See if that teacher is equipped to be in the classroom teaching your child, your precious child. Because that teacher is going to be with your child perhaps more hours per day than with you, the parent. Because in a self-contained situation, as opposed to departmentalized, the teacher will be with that student about 6 hours every day. All right? And if I can share this with you before we run out.
You all right?
I have something I need to read to you. Oh, someone has a question? Go ahead. Oh, my son. Let's hear what you got to say. Anyway, it must must be in my car. So I'll tell you the gist of what it is. It says that every 47 seconds, a black child drops out of school in a school day. Here it is. Do I have it? Hang on. Do you have a copy of it? Well, I can just leave this with you. This is on my desk.
Okay.
And you can make copies later. Every 6 seconds of the school day, a black child is suspended. Every 45 seconds of the school day, a black child drops out of school. Every 50 seconds, a black child is arrested. All right? Every minute, a black baby is born to an unmarried mother. Every 2 minutes, a black baby is born into poverty. Every 4 minutes, a black baby is born to a teen mother. Every 6 minutes, a black boy is born at a low birth weight. Every 9 minutes, a black baby is born to a mother who received late or no prenatal care. Every 48 minutes, a black baby dies. Every 3 hours, a black child is murdered. Every 4 hours, a black child or youth is killed by firearms. And every day, a black child dies from HIV infection. All right, sorry. So this comes from Children's Defense Fund in Washington, D.C., Marion Wright Edelman. And then there's some other things. I won't read this whole thing, but the average life expectancy of an African-American man is 65.6 years. I think that there was, Hakeem Adabuti was talking about the fact that by the time we retire, we're going to die and not receive our Social Security. All right, so they should allow us to retire a little bit earlier. And average life expectancy of a white man is 73. Chances that a black man under 35 is with the criminal justice system is 1 in 4. And I just read something, maybe you saw it with Washington, D.C. Just less than half of all the black youths there are somehow tied up in the criminal justice system, whether in jail, on parole, probation, a warrant for their arrest. All right, it's frightening. And the only person, I say it in the introduction to this book, the only people who are going to save us are us. Nobody else is going to do that. We just got to have that commitment to our struggle.
We have one more question.
Peace, brother.
Peace.
Thank you for coming. My question is to you, and I don't know if this is a valid question, but do African children learn differently than, per se, Caucasian children? And if they do, are there any techniques that we can consider? I'm a substitute teacher in the city of Trenton.
Are you planning on becoming a certified teacher?
I'm working towards that, yes, sir.
Okay, very good. Yeah, because we need you in the system. Research, there's a lot of research out there that says that we do learn differently. So I've read research that said that we are right-brain thinkers, but left-brain methodology is used to educate us. All right, so if you're using left-brain methodology to educate a right-brain thinker, then you're not going to connect with them. But the left-brain approach is Eurocentric, since the research, and I don't know how valid it is, but the research says that generally Europeans are left-brain thinkers. So therefore the methodology is going to be geared towards them. All right, but the children being right-brain, so you're not even reaching them because you're teaching to the wrong side of their brain. All right, so now it's out there. Now, whether it's true, certainly it wouldn't be an absolute. All right, but it is worth considering. All right, certainly we wouldn't want to ignore that type of research because it's out there. All right, so it's just a matter of now using, if it is true, then certainly we will want to use right-brain approaches. All right, so there are a lot of different ways that you can use the left-brain approach as a, see, left brain is very analytical. All right, and then the right brain, on the other hand, approach will be much more collective. All right, it's not that analytical, but it's more synthesis. All right, exactly. All right, exactly. See, Europeans like to break everything apart and departmentalize. They destroying stuff too, but departmentalize everything. Whereas our culture is not an analytical, but it's a collective synthesis, bringing everything together. All right, that's right. That's right. So that is, I think we really is worth looking into, just like the Ebonics debate. It's certainly worth looking into. Since I brought it up, and since we're on tape, I'm just going to say something real quick about it. With the Ebonics, I agree with a lot of the progressive people that came out who had supported it. However, and this is a big however, what I found is this with students in my years of working with them. When a student goes in, I don't even know if I'm comfortable with the word Ebonics, but I'm just going to use it for sake of argument here. When a student is speaking in Ebonics, right, the student knows how to go into the standard English, all right, because the only thing I have to say to the student, I said, rephrase that, please, in standard English, and they'll do it. So that is not the issue. Now, the Ebonics debate was about teaching teachers the Ebonics, so that they can, in turn, connect with the students. All right, it wasn't about teaching any Ebonics. It was just making the teacher aware of it.
Very good.
My argument is, if you have to spend state tax dollars, state aid, to in-service teachers on how to talk to black children, you don't belong in the classroom. How are you going to be in the classroom when you can't even speak the language of the students? You don't belong in the classroom. Get another job somewhere else. All right? Now, I speak in broken English all the time. I can go in and out of it at will. All right? Being that I'm a teacher, I want to stay on top of the slang as well. I want to be on top of it. I want to be on top of the rap groups, all the artists, because I want to be able to know what's in their head. Right? So I can speak it. And when we're outside away from the building, I will go into it with them. But when we're in the classroom, on the other hand, then I'll go back to the standard form, unless we're at a point where we sort of had a little bit of a lull, and we've kind of got our guard down, and we can be real. See, we're family in my room. You follow me? So I can see, and when you can connect with a kid, like with students like that, you can do that. Like I have a friend that just came into my school, to give you this example. He can't do that yet. See, until you are really good at the art of teaching, then you can let your guard down and laugh with the kids. And then when you're ready to bring them back, you can do that. But see, if you don't have that talent developed, you laugh with them, you're going to be laughing all year long. All right? Because they ain't coming back because they seen that you're weak. So see, you can't come in new laughing with children.
No, you can't.
But see, once you develop that reputation and the students understand, yeah, I can sit down and laugh with them anytime. And I say, all right, time to get back to work. And we work. All right, put on my regular, normal face as opposed to my smile. And then we can do what has to be done. So the Ebonics discussion, just to kind of bring that to closure, it has merit, but the problem is not in the verbal. The problem is in the written. All right, what I found over these years, the students, I don't care who the student is, they can make the conversion in the verbal. The written is the problem, but it has nothing to do with Ebonics. It's just poor writing skills. All right, the writing skills are weak. There's a lot of reasons as to why. One is it's probably not really reinforced at home. The children, if you're not doing a lot of writing at home, that's a problem. You got to be doing a lot of writing. Just write. Have parents, have the students, just children write about anything. Just write. Have practice in writing. All right, and then those skills will begin to develop as you have the practice in writing. But if you're not writing at home and you just come to school and write, you don't really have the type of practice that you need. All right, but you know, Ebonics. We can go on and on with that.
Sounds like we need an institute where we actually train African teachers to teach African students as opposed to going through the system.
Yes.
That teaching through the left brain.
You're absolutely right. The traditional model doesn't work. And then you find one of the reasons that a lot of black teachers don't make it into the profession, particularly black men, is because so many of them are failing the national teachers exam. That's one of the reasons. That's keeping a lot of good people out of the industry. There's a lot of reasons as to why they're failing. Certainly the cultural relevancy is there. I've seen it. I took that test. All right? The lack of preparation is certainly there to take that test. The lack of test-taking skills is certainly there. All right? But if we had a model like what you're talking about, all right, that would be much more effective and conducive for us than the traditional way that we come into education. Now, there's an alternate route, if you ever heard of that. I came in through the alternate route. All right, my major in my undergrad was business. I came into teaching after I graduated. So I came through the alternate route and got my training after. Then I got my master's in administration once I was teaching, education administration. All right, so you can come in through the alternate route as well and come through the back door, as they say. So I didn't even come through that traditional model. So maybe I was blessed not to, and I didn't go through all that particular methodology and become brainwashed by it.
I was going to ask you about that. I work for ECS, the practice theory.
Yeah.
And I was going to ask you, did you feel that those tests were biased? Because I have a lot of, when I'm on the phone, I have a lot of black prospective teachers from Virginia, Mississippi, like Louisiana, who are taking this test like 8 or 9 and 10 times,
Wow.
and they're just so frustrated, and they're like, you know, I guess they can tell by my voice that I'm black, and they're just like, ma'am, you know, is this a biased test, you know? Is it the fact that I'm saying that I'm black on the information? Is that affecting my test? Are they just seeing my name and saying, oh, well, yeah, she's going to get the same grade? And I try to tell them, I said, you got to come at it with a different angle. I know my calls are monitored, so I can't really be like, well, I'll think about it too, but, I try to say, step back and make a new plan or try to, go about thinking about it a different way to take the test. I said, and don't be scared of this test because, like, now you didn't took it and you're scared of it, so you're already in your mind, I'm just not going to pass it anyway. But, yeah, it's so hard. It's a lot of, there's a lot of white teachers as well that are not passing it, but there's like I've gotten a lot of calls, and like people even in Chicago did certain tests, it's just like, it's a lot of us that's not passing this test, and we're trying to figure out what's going on and talk to someone about it.
What I did, and what I think was different from what a lot of people do, there's a lot of publishers of various different preparation test booklets, NTE, National Teacher Exam. I got every book, and they have practice tests in the back, and I just kept taking those tests over and over. And I wanted to pass it the first time. So I kept taking the test over and over. I spent hours and hours. And see, a lot of people won't put that kind of time into their work. All right, it's the same thing with my college education. I put a lot of time that a lot of people don't put in. I was a straight A student on a master's level, but the amount of time that I put in to earn it. All right. So with that NTE, you talking hours and just taking the test over and over. So when I got to the test, it wasn't the same questions, but I knew what types of questions to expect, and I was ready to approach it. So I had done well. Now, a lot of my friends wanted to come into the alternate route, and they were failing the test. They didn't put the time in. All right, they weren't willing to do it, so therefore they failed. All right, they took it 2, 3 times. I know a guy that's taking it like his 6th time now, and he still hasn't gotten the books. I told him, go buy the books and study those tests.
I told him, and we get him those free guides, and it has like all the topics. I said, look at your school book and read like from the topics. Study that stuff.
Right.
I said, take it from that whole aspect. I'm like, and then the night before, I take a bath, have some chamomile tea, do something, but relax yourself. So you don't go in there all, all 10 bills, and you're not going to do your best. But it's a lot of them, and it was just amazed me how many black people are trying to become teachers now, and then the comparison of how many aren't passing these tests. And it's really scary, and I'm just like, it makes me think, well, are you really going to be, you know what I mean? Are you really feeling it? Your whole purpose is to teach, and that's what you want to do, so you're going to do whatever it takes to get to that point. Or it's just that, you figure you're a teacher, pretty decent money, you kind of like kids, and
One more?
Yes, sir.
Just briefly, because I just witnessed something today, well, actually this past week that disturbed me quite a bit, but I wanted to hear your opinion. I don't know if you discussed it or not, just on the usage of computers in the schools now, and how relevant you think they are, because in my opinion, I actually believe that to use a cliche, that by the year 2000 or somewhere close to thereabout, that there will be a new standard of literacy. It won't be enough just to be able to read and write, but you have to have some sort of computer literacy to be considered even semi-skilled labor in the marketplace, because what's going to happen is anybody who's not will be defined as unskilled labor and will be stuck in those same low-paying, low-wage jobs. But I think that we're being hoodwinked, or I don't know if you could even call it hoodwinked, but I think we're being left in the dark intentionally on this explosion in technology. And what I witnessed was, I worked for an express shipping company, and we just delivered one of the largest shipments I ever saw in my life to a school district. A brand new computer from Compaq, right, direct from the manufacturer. We're talking truckloads. And the guy that I was working with, his brothers, we was all working, we saying, damn, they cost about $2,000 if you go to the store and purchase it. And we're saying, even if they got a break on, got a good deal, got a wholesale, we trying to figure this out. We're saying about $1,000 a piece. got ordered 600 new computers, brand new. So we talking ballpark, we thinking $600,000. So we get to this middle school where they're staging, you know, this shipment. And the guy started talking freely. And you know, he said, all I did, I went on the web, and they had a website for Compaq, and they got an educator, it's called EduFlex. He called them up, got the computers on a lease, 0%, brand new computers in the box, right? 600 brand new computers. And at the end of 3 years, he's got an option to purchase the computers wholesale. Or he can send them back. He can pack those computers up and send them back. And I couldn't believe it. I said, wait a second, you gotta be kidding me. I'm talking truckload. And I said, damn, well, why are we doing this? Because the township that I live in, I know we're not doing that, because if they had been doing it, that delivery would have came through the same location where I'm working. So I know for a fact it hasn't happened where I live. And now, you know, and I'm thoroughly disgusted at what I witnessed, and it bothers me, because I think that we, you know, as a people in the urban, inner city areas are going to be faced with a dilemma very shortly, because the marketplace is metamorphosing into this technology-based thing. I see businesses springing up every single day, technology-based. It's not even about manual labor anymore. You see what I'm saying? And if you don't have these skills, you'll be considered virtually unemployable or left to do menial tasks, you know, to service the technology industry in some way, to deliver the paper for the printers, the ink for the copies. But you won't be allowed to, as we say, sit at the table. So I'm just curious as to, what do you think, how the relevancy or the importance of computers in terms of the modern day school environment, and whether or not you think it's going to be even worth pursuing?
I think that the key point you made was when you said that when he found out the information on the internet.
Right.
That's the key. See,
But
we're
he spoke about
deprived of
it
the
as
information.
so matter of fact, like it was nothing difficult to do, and that's what got me. This guy, you know, just like I picked up the phone, told him I needed 600, and voila. You got me kidding me.
Information is power.
Absolutely.
And see, with economics being what it is in our community, we don't have access to that internet information.
True.
So all that type of powerful information on the internet, as long as we are not hooked up to the internet, it's not our fault that we're not hooked up to it. All right, we don't have access to it. You made a good point in your introduction about the computer, the negative side. All right. On the other side, however, certainly we want to be caught up, all right, to what's going on. In the urban school district, I mean, you talk about computers in the classroom, we're still trying to get the calculator in the classroom, all right? Because you got so many students that don't even have a calculator to work with yet, and we're talking about having a computer, all right? So we're behind the times, and certainly in today's times, when we go back talking on the employment side now, as opposed to institution building I talked about earlier. If we are not computer literate, it's going to be tough, all right? Because that's a bottom line foundational skill that you must have. In order to compete in the marketplace. On the other hand, as I was saying a little earlier, while the kids are young, like these young children in here, I don't talk to kids about the marketplace with them too much. I mean, of course, we want to make them aware that it's here, it's reality. But what we try to instill in them is the fact that we want you to be institution builders. All right, because the marketplace, the job is going to hold you as an individual. But when we're talking about a nation now of people, meaning us, all right, it's not going to. We're not going to rise up by being employment seekers. All right, in the end all, we have to be about how can we develop our community as a people. The computer's still got to be a part of that.
Absolutely.
All right.
Basic understanding that we have to get across to the community and see at the adult level that commerce is changing. The way business is being done is changing. When you talk about you don't have to warehouse a massive amount of items anymore, you can service X amount of customers simply at a keystroke. You know what I mean? And ship direct from supplier to customers. You know, and the changing the way commerce is taking place and the expansion and what they project. I saw a projection of how much of the commerce of the World Wide Web. 64% of the entire the World Wide Web. 64% of commerce is conducted in the United States. And then I think like Great Britain or England maybe doing about 10%, so on. But the United States by far was the leader in terms of doing business over the internet. And they expect to capture an even larger market share. You know, they're always seeking a larger share of the market. And I think that, I really think that there has to, at some point, be some sort of emphasis, you know, on attaining these types of skills. But the sad part about it, I'm reflecting on, like you said, even getting calculators into the classroom, but having instructors who are literate. You can't teach something you don't know. And if you have mediocre instruction going on with basic textbooks, then you could put the most expensive computer in the classroom and it would be useless to these people because they don't have the knowledge to operate it nor to teach anyone else how to operate it. So there itself is a dilemma, you know, attracting that kind of talent to our institution to allow our children to understand these things. So, but I'm saying this just presents another facet of the problem, another dimension that we have to deal with at some point. We're going to have to, because these problems come to confront us. They come to stare in your face when you go to fill out that employment application. They ask you, what skills do you have?
Right, and you gotta have that computer literacy. It's talking to Brother Tim upstairs a little earlier. What they're doing here at the university, have the computers, and talking about bringing more in. Right, and this is the approach that has to take place as a community. If the school system's not doing it, because if we already have to admit that the school system is not going to do for our children what is it doing for their own. So therefore, we have to educate our own. So like what's happening here with the computers, and then this evolving, all right, into something larger, all right, this is the approach that must take place, all right, because without that piece, it's just not going to happen. But going back to what Brother Abdullah, right, was saying in the introduction, there's got to be a marriage there, however, because we don't want to be consumed by that and forget about who we are. So I think a marriage between culture and technology.
That's true, but like you said, and when you spoke to Brother here about our approach to things,
supposing we build...
Our approach would be different, right?
Yeah, brother that's not equipped to teach the children.
No, I'm saying in terms of the left and right brain, even if we had the tech, we wouldn't even, I honestly believe we wouldn't approach it from the greed standpoint, from the end-all, be-all standpoint. But I think it's essential for us to at least have these tools so we can develop our own approaches and use these resources to their fullest capability, because we stand to benefit off of it. And if this is the way of the world, like you said, we live in the greatest society, then we have to be educated in the way of the world in order to be functional in it. Even if we were a closed community, at some point you have to have trade and commerce with other people. And it's just like, you know, and I say just like the Jewish people, although they have their closed communities, they do reach out to other communities for trade and commerce. You know what I'm saying? And we have to establish that same model. And in order to do that, then we need to have these skills. We need to have these resources. And if we're still struggling with basic education, then we're falling even further behind as technology breaks down. I mean, then maybe, you know, you have some idea of what a computer is able to do.
You know how you get those computers in the classrooms, bottom line? When the community demands.
True.
All right. Well, see, you know a good analogy to that. You saw the election in New York the other day. You know Reverend Sharpton could have won that by a landslide. Black people just had to come out. They didn't come out. So therefore, it's a runoff. If they don't come out, he'll lose. We're apathetic. If we would just come out and demand, all right, because our are paying for them.
Yes, they are.
All right. So we just have to come out and demand it, but for whatever reason, we're not doing it. We're not demanding what is ours. We've got to get out and demand. That purpose is right. It's got to be about something. All right. So, but I agree with you wholeheartedly. We have to catch up in the area of technology. All right, if we're going to compete on that level, because the world is changing. Yes, sir.
Yes.
So long.
Let me thank the brother.
Yes.
You know, I'd like to thank Brother Baruti for that wonderful presentation.
Thank you.
Because I read the book, and I had the book for a couple of years. I don't know why. I may have picked up my copy home. I think I had one laying around. Back when you were trying to sell it.
Yeah.
But
sometimes it seems like maybe a coincidence sometimes. I spoke to you earlier about being guided, you know, from the ancestral level.
Right.
You know, and this so happened that Austin Maddox was when we started our lecture series off.
Oh, okay.
That's
right.
November.
Yes.
And we said then where we were headed to toward the educational aspect of the God's books, and open up a school, and a couple other projects we announced at that time, way back in November.
Okay.
And just for the person who asked about I think Brother Johnson asked about the cognitive development of black children, check out Amos Wilson's books. He's done a lot of research into that area about the growth and development of black children versus white children.
Developmental Psychology of Black Children by the Amos Wilson. He's deceased now, but his spirit lives. He wrote Black on Black Violence as well. Check them both out.
Yes. And, I'm going to let Brother Abdul close out, but we would like to invite you back down, again, maybe once a month. Come down and do work. We started out with Dr. Africa, and the information that he delivered was so relevant that we decided to bring Dr. Africa down once a month. I think you said you worked with him down in Delaware, you haven't had a chance to meet.
Right.
But on behalf of him bringing you both down together, at that point, we got children healing, some nutritional types of approaches to correcting some of the problems with the children as far as hyperactivity. And sugar, I think you mentioned sugar intake in your book also, towards the back.
Yeah.
But again, you know, congratulations on the success of your book. We haven't had a chance to really put it out here. But when people are here, I see people walk through the door now, they call in to make sure the brother has his books down here. So they will come and get the books, so everybody requests the books. So God's books will be get the books. I'm going to let Brother do a close.
Yes, it's great to have a great educator in the house tonight, but also a brother who's very familiar with his history, loves his people, and he emphasized that greatly. And Brother Eric, just a footnote to what you said. When you mentioned that website number, I seen about 3 or 4 or 5 people jot it down. So that information was very valuable. And I don't know if it's the first time you shot it out there, but it was some people jotting down. And make sure you get that, Brother Ryan. I can see the sisters writing it down. So we are kind of literate, and you just got to get to the right circles and get that information to the right people, and then we'll spread it out. You know what I mean? But when I look at my brother here, and before we close out, what comes to mind is a couple of quotes like, it takes a whole village to raise a child, an African child, and he emphasized that. And I'm sure glad that Marcus left a lot of cubs in the bush. Because this is one of the cubs here. So, you know, Marcus Garvey was on trial for mail fraud or some other trumped up stuff that the system came to him with. And the prosecutor was bragging about that we got the tiger in the cage, and old Marcus said that you may have the tiger in the cage, but I left a lot of cubs in the bush. You know what I mean? And that ties into what my brother said about our brothers Booker T. Washington going on up to Frederick Douglass, going up to Marcus Garvey, going up to Elijah Muhammad, all up to Malcolm and Louis Farrakhan, and on up to my brother here, and the people we see here. So a lot of cubs were left in the bush. So that's the ongoing continuum. And I'm sure that this brother's going to leave a lot. If somebody comes against him, he could say, well, you might got me, but I left a lot of cubs in the bush. So, sign books. We don't want to take too much of his time because we got a long journey. But okay, well, he's willing to sign books and do a little one-on-one talking. I believe we have a raffle back there too, don't we, Brother Man? Or something
They have 50-50 tickets for sale around everybody here.
Okay, let Brother Rise familiarize the people with that.
Yeah, I think you got raffle tickets in $3 or $4, right?
Yeah.
$3 for free support the university raffle tickets.
Right.
Fundraising.
Yeah.
And it's a surprise raffle to the bag.
Surprise raffle, surprise back there in the bag, support the raffle. We also have books and cakes and water.
Right.
In the back. That all goes towards the university.
And please, thank you for coming out and supporting Rise book.